I'm gonna cover like generally three differences. Well, three differences in mechanics from Melee and PM that give PM a totally different aerial game than Melee, including for the Melee veterans in the game. So the first thing is interruptible as soon as is completely different. The Jump Gravity Quirk, which I covered in a past video, I'm going to recap, is something that doesn't exist in PM. And the physics delay, which is caused from Brawl having weird coding, is in PM and makes it different as well from Melee. And these three things all kind of combine to create like totally different things you can't do in Melee. But the first thing we'll cover is interruptible as soon as, which let's look at back air. No, like let's look at forward air. There. Interruptible as soon as is this, you can start on frame 29. You can use it to do a move, and then the animation ends on frame 33. So starting on frame 33, you can do some. So for forward air, again, look at the top. It's got the thing with the frames and stuff. So on frame 30 or frame 31, it doesn't matter. I can use another aerial like forward air. But if I, again, the earliest possible with the interruptible as soon as is on frame 30. So on frame 29, I can do a forward air. Or any other aerial with the A attack. Any A attack. And again, on the ground, you can, I'll show you that with down tilt in a sec. But if I go to frame 30, 29, and then do double jump, that's going to work as well through the interruptible as soon as. So it allows jumps and double jumps and attacks and aerials through interruptible as soon as. It does not allow in Melee specials, shield, and on the ground, in the air dodge. So that's something to keep in mind in Melee, because most aerials, like his forward air, has the interruptible as soon as like 3 frames sooner than the animation end, but depending on the aerial, it can have like none at all, or like things like Jigglypuff's back air or Sheik's neutral air have like interruptible as soon as like 6 or 7 or 8 frames before the actual animation ends. So you can do like an aerial like way sooner than you could a special, unless you use some of the counteraction things that I'm going to talk about. But let's just show you that. So again, on frame 29, a double jump or an aerial attack would work. But if I try to do an air dodge, nothing. If I try to do like, I don't know, I got it there in time. Okay. If I try to do a side B, nothing. I gotta wait for that animation to end completely, which on frame 33, there we go. Now the next frame, if I advance it, is in, oops, I timed that just kind of wrong there. Okay, the next frame after this is in falling, which is just basically the same as being in standing, or like wait, on the ground. Which, on the ground, or in the air, just falling, you can do anything you want. So then is when you can time the air dodge or special attack through forward air, even though you're gonna have to wait 3 frames longer than you would if you were able to do the interruptible as soon as for that, which in PM goes off of Brawl's mechanics, which Brawl's mechanics allowed you to use anything you want through the interruptible as soon as, at least for specials and air dodge. So again, what was I gonna do? So I've got to wait for the thing. Yeah, I didn't even do it soon enough. I got to do the air forward air really early, and then once it gets to frame 33, he's going to be in falling the next frame, so I can input the air dodge now because the next frame is not going to be in the animation. Oh, I must have pressed it wrong or something. Hold on. So frame 33, input an air dodge, and I can wave land out of forward air. Likewise, I've got to wait for the animation to end to do side B, or any special attack. So on frame 33, I can do the side B. Likewise, on the ground, if you look at down tilts interruptible as soon as it's frame 20, even though the animation ends on 49. If I, in Melee, again, you can buffer shield, but it can't be used for interruptible as soon as. So you have to wait for the animation end before it actually buffers that shield. But any other aerial attack, I can use right away through the interruptible as soon as. And if I try to use a special through the interruptible as soon as, it's not going to work. So I'm trying to spam down B. Again, it's going to wait till the animation's over to actually do it. The way to get around this stuff in Melee is, because you can use jump in the air, like, again, you can use jump through the interruptible as soon as. You can jump and then do something. Like, you could, if you want to do up B, you could jump, and now you're in jump squat, and then you can do the up B out of jump squat. Or an up smash, and, well, no, this is specials. Okay, so that's up B, but anyways, in the air, this is important because you can use double jump through the interruptible as soon as. So if I'm at frame 29, and I want to, instead of waiting 3 frames, at least for forward air, depending on the move, again, if the interruptible as soon as is like really long distance between like the actual animation end, I could be saving a whole lot of frames by doing this. Is I could use this interruptible as soon as to do the double jump, then I can do the special. So I'm saving like 2 frames because the double jump takes 1 frame, but it's using the interruptible as soon as and all that. So I could even, if I double jump like really good, like I'll go to frame 30 here, or maybe even frame, yeah, that's fine. And I'm still saving 1 frame by doing a double jump and then an air dodge. Even though that makes me higher anyways. But for specials and stuff, it's useful. But on the ground, you can use walk to buffer, and unlike shield, it goes right away. So notice that difference. Shield, it takes forever. Walk, right away. So I can walk and then do a shield or special. So if you hold forward a little bit and then hold shield, it buffers the walk for 1 frame and then the shield. And I learned this from Cactar in his stream he did, at least for the shield part. And likewise, you can walk a little bit and then use the down B. Or side B or whatever you want. But if I try to spam it, using the interruptible as soon as, it's not going to work until the animation's over. But I can do it a lot sooner by walking first. Yeah. When I get into PM and turn that on, it's going to be a lot different. But what other things do I want to cover? Whenever you jump in Melee, again, this is the thing I covered about the Gravity Quirk. If you do, like, he's airborne on, okay, well, first off, again, knee bend, frame 0, this is the first frame, so this is actually frame 1. So on frame 3, which is actually frame 4, that's the last frame in jump squat, so he's airborne on frame 5. And you can see here, keep this in mind, he's totally in the air on the first airborne frame. He's like, there's no doubt about it, he's like totally up in there, like with his momentum and everything. This is going to be different in PM because of the physics delay. So keep in mind this first airborne frame, how high he is. Then keep in mind the thing I covered in the other video. If I do aerial or special, the first airborne frame, like forward air, you don't really see any part of his body go through the platform because it reduces height, which again in the other video is goes over it. But this applies to short hop and full hop. Doing an aerial or special, the first airborne frame is going to reduce your overall height. And that's the second thing that makes PM a lot different with aerials, is that, first off, the interruptible as soon as is different because Brawl, allows interruptible as soon as to be used by like basically everything, like including air dodge and specials. So that's different. And PM went with Brawl's way of doing it. And PM doesn't have this gravity quirk thing because of either not allowing aerials or specials to induce gravity a frame sooner than it normally would, or I think that's probably it. But yeah, so again, you didn't see any part of his body go through that platform, but if I do it any other frame, his height's overall higher because it didn't reduce it. So you can see his cape a little bit through the platform. And again, this applies to all characters and everything. So there's two different things I mentioned so far. Interruptible as soon as being different, and this jump gravity quirk not existing in PM. The last thing is, again, when I mentioned this first airborne frame, how high it goes. In PM it's going to be different because of the physics delay, which applies to almost everything. And in Melee, it doesn't really exist except for like something like dashes or something has this 1 frame of delay or something. But I can demonstrate another difference you're going to notice when I turn on PM is say if I do an air dodge, like immediately it goes towards the direction. So if I hoard towards the left and downward, he's already going, well, let's see here. Okay, it should, yeah, hold on. So if I do an air dodge towards the left, you see he moves a little bit towards that direction immediately. Same way if I do the right, he immediately moves a little bit towards that direction. Again, it's kind of hard to, let's try upward. Well, actually, he's already going upward, so that wouldn't really show anything. Okay, downward. Okay, so you can definitely see a little bit. He moves downward on that very first frame. There's no delay in the actual change of momentum. So you can definitely notice this because if you do a frame perfect wave dash, he's not going to be in the air at all because on that very next frame he's already transferred his momentum to be towards the ground, and the game's going to read that and change him to be on the ground. So right now this is the last frame of jump squat. If I do an air dodge towards the ground, he's already performed the air dodge, but it put him on the ground because it didn't have any delay in the momentum change. So this is a frame perfect wave dash. Again, I'll do it again and put an air dodge. He's already on the ground because if I don't do it frame perfect, you can see he's immediately changed a little bit downward because of the first frame. This is going to be different in PM. Okay, and then last things to talk about in Melee. Keep in mind, because I'm going to be going over most of the stuff concerning Marth, but it's different for a lot of Melee veterans and how their whole like aerial game is different in PM. Keep in mind what's possible in Melee with Marth. He can do fair up air, double fair. Okay, wait. Fair up air. I'm doing it badly. And then it can do like forward air, back air. Where? Okay. And then forward air, down air. And then so it can do like every other aerial. Oh, and it can do forward air and air. Sorry. Let me use A. Forward air, neutral air. So you can do forward air to any aerial. That's gonna be the same in both games. But if you try to do, well, yeah, this also works in Melee. But it's gonna take you like 3 more frames or whatever to do it. Is forward air to wave land, because you have to wait. You can't use the interrupt as soon as. And forward air to side B is gonna be a little bit longer. You gotta wait a little bit till the animation ends. So your muscle memory is different in Melee, where you have to wait out the animation end to actually do something like forward air, side B. The thing with back air is all he can do in Melee is do a back air and then of course auto cancel it, but he can only do a double jump out of it. You can't use an air dodge because even though you can do a double jump, it's using the interruptible as soon as, which on back air is like frame 35, or frame 34 really. I can do that double jump, you know. But if I do it And then on, again, like frame 34 or frame 35, I'll go to frame 35 even. If I try to do a side B or an air dodge, I'll do an air dodge. Not gonna work. So there's not enough time for the animation ends, which ends on like frame 39, to do... See, it doesn't reach there in time, even if I do like frame perfect. Well, let's do frame perfect. So again, this is another thing. If I do something frame perfect in Melee, that jump gravity quirk is going to reduce my overall height. So even though I do the first action sooner, it's going to reduce the height, which gives me like just around the same air time anyways. So that opens up more stuff in PM when I get to it. But again, this is the first airborne frame. I'll do a back air. And then I'll wait till the like very last frame before I land or whatever. It never gets there in time before the animation to end. So I can't do a... and then this is on the second airborne frame, which again, it's not going to reduce my height, but it still doesn't reach the ending in time to go back into falling or anything for me to do air dodge or special. And even though special, like forward air, like is really quick, in like say with forward air, it even delays your like falling. It doesn't reach the actual ending for me to use it with back air. And same with air dodge. All I can use is double jump. And if you look at the frame data, there's not enough time with the interrupt as soon as either to use say back air into forward air. It'll like look like it'll come out, but there's like even with forward air being like the fastest aerial, there's not enough time for the actual hitboxes to come out. And I think it might actually be like really close, like one frame away from working, but I think forward air also distorts like his position regarding like when he lands, like by distorting his body a little bit. So I think it changes being able to do any of his like being able to do fair, even though it might be one frame away from working or whatever. So actually, let me just use frame advance. Okay, so that's like the first airborne frame I did back air. And then it's frame 34, I can do it fair, and it doesn't come out in time. Again, so all you can do is back air to double jump in Melee. That's it. And you would be able to do a special or waveland in time if the interrupt as soon as allowed you to, which it doesn't. But again, you can do a back air. Then once it gets to frame 34, do a double jump and then a special. And again, you can do a back air. And once it gets to frame 34, do a double jump and then an air dodge. But again, that's if you do it frame perfect, so. So I could like use that for like pressure or whatever, but this is all gonna be different in PM. So let me try that. My hands are like super cold. There we go. Okay, so you could do something like that, but again, your options are limited. Now, back air to an aerial doesn't work, not because of anything with the interrupt as soon as not allowing it. Again, you can use aerials with that interrupt as soon as, but there's just not enough time. That's different in PM because one, if you do the aerial as soon as possible in Melee, it's reducing your height a little bit because of that jump gravity quirk. So that's giving you less airtime than you would deserve. Yeah. And that's going to reduce your overall height. So whether you do the first frame or the second, it doesn't really give you any more time. So if I do it this first or the second frame, there's just not enough time to do an aerial. If Melee didn't have the jump gravity quirk, I would have just enough time to do something like a forward air after the back air. But since it exists, it doesn't. But in PM, since it doesn't exist, that allows me to do back air and forward air and stuff. But another thing is the physics delay. That doesn't that changes everything as well to give me more airtime. So there's these three things combined make PM totally different. And now I think I covered basically everything in super in depth to finally go into PM now. So let me think real quick if I got everything. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, so now we're in PM, and since the release of version 3.5, Magus, one of the wizards behind PM and a lot of regards, finally made a debug menu. It isn't as good as Melee's, of course, which was developed by the actual game creators and left in the game, which is still able to be accessed through cheats. This was handmade through like really like hard simplex coding or whatever with ASM assembly code to get all this to work. It doesn't have things like telling you what frame you're on, but you can count and other stuff. But it does have everything that's really useful for demonstrating now the differences, which I was talking about in regards to Melee. So I got on time, so I can just go straight into the game without a second player. And now you're gonna have to count with me here because PM generally matched most of like say that like high top tiers in Melee to their like frame data regarding like say forward air having the same frames. So when I pull up that window, it's generally going to be the same for like stuff like forward air and back air. Which I know for back air it's like pretty much definitely the same. Where it's like has the interruptible as soon as or whatever on like frame 35 and ends on frame 34. I mean 39. So whew, I think we're gonna have to count here, but okay, so the three things I mentioned in the past video, which was like, what was it, 20 minutes long? I hope so. Like all are, I'm gonna talk about that all right now. So the interruptible as soon as, let's count. Oops, I thought the bug menu was on. Okay, so okay, now I got the bug menu on. Now, okay, first airborne frame, so that's one. Okay. Oh wait, yeah, I'll talk about that later. Okay, so let's do the back air on say like frame 2. Crap, we gotta count. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Okay, so like here's what the interruptible as soon as would be, because I could definitely see that thing's not ended. Otherwise, it would be in like the falling animation. So I know it's not ended. And it's probably not going to end after this. I don't see it ending after this. So now, since PM went with Brawl's way of doing it, which again, Brawl went with a lot of different ways, different from Melee for a lot of different reasons, which is better talked about in like text form in the description and stuff than me trying to like give my opinion on it now. Anyways, it allowed you to use specials in air dodge in Brawl. In PM, likewise, went with Brawl's way of doing it for whatever reason, which is more so good than bad. Again, and that's you could argue that in the description and stuff. So let's do like side B, and it works. Okay, which wouldn't work in Melee for the interruptible as soon as. And like this is about the same frame or whatever, like, or maybe like here, whatever. It works through what we determined was probably the interruptible as soon as. So wait. Okay. Now this is probably the interruptible as soon as. I don't want to count anymore, so there. The air dodge worked. Okay. So air dodge and specials work through interruptible as soon as now. So that opens you up to do more options without having to use the double jump first and then time everything frame perfect after that. So that's one thing that PM allows a lot more stuff, especially for like aerials and stuff like Jigglypuff's back air, Sheik's neutral air, that have a lot of like um, interruptible as soon as like a lot farther early on before the animation end. It allows you to do like Jigglypuff back air into rest or pound a lot sooner than you could in melee, given that you didn't use double jump first. So that's one thing. Second thing is it doesn't have the height reduction quirk that I talked about. So if I do the back air or whatever, the first airborne frame, he's going to go the same height as he does if I do it on the second frame. Okay? Yeah, it's like the same. So without that, if you do an aerial or a special on the first airborne frame, it's not going to punish in a way your overall height, allowing you, since you did it the first airborne frame, and given you didn't get any reduced jump height, you could do things you couldn't do in melee, like back air into like forward air, if I do it good. Like that. So that's one thing, alright? And now this other thing, the physics delay, is the third thing that's kind of like the second thing, but it's combines with the second thing to give you even another frame of aerial time. So when you do something like the gravity quirk, that reduces your overall air time depending on character and stuff, like, and depending on the aerial you do, like, because it can move your fixation, your landing point a little differently. Like that usually reduces your air time by like say like 2 frames, I think. But the physics delay also delays your your overall air time by a frame as well. I'm pretty sure a frame because that's how it works. So if I remember, I told you to keep in mind what he looks like when he jumps in the air. This is the first airborne frame right now. You can see his foot is like touching the ground still. He's not as high as he was in melee. I totally believe so. But it's more noticeable with like other characters. I'm just using everything with Marth. But it's definitely noticeable. I didn't turn this on in melee because I think there's one thing that's similar to it, but I don't know the combination. But in here, I can turn on collision points, and you can see the first airborne frame, nothing. Nothing changed. Now it changes on the second airborne frame, and after that, with the first airborne frame, it's all the same. Even though he's in the air, he's in an air state, his collision data has gone nowhere because the physics delay. So on that first airborne frame, I can throw out, well, let's see here. So this is the last frame of jump squat, and I'm throwing out a forward air right now, even though he didn't go anywhere yet. Everything's delayed. So he gets one more like frame of air time, which opens me up to do more options. And in melee, you have the options to like again do pretty much everything out of fair, but again you have the restriction where the interruptible as soon as doesn't allow you to do specials as soon as you could with aerials. That's gone in PM, so I can do forward air and the special like really quickly. Okay, and beyond that, if I do a aerial like forward air, the first airborne frame, I get even more air time to like get the whatever it is out in time or whatever. And then after that, the physics delay, which is enabling me to do like a forward air again on the first airborne frame or any frame, but that first frame, I'm not going anywhere. It's all delayed, giving me another aerial. Give me another aerial frame of air time. So that all combines to again when we covered in melee, you can't do back air into forward B. I mean because like you can't use interrupt as soon as for it, but you can in PM, like I showed. But beyond that, you couldn't even use aerials because you didn't even have enough air time. But now you do. So you can do back air into forward air, which is again hard still. and I usually use A for it because C-stick you usually don't hit it in time. And like you can wave land because of the like even it might even go back into fall because of this extra airtime thing from the reasons with the physics delay. But like even if through the interruptible as soon as you can use it. So like back air into forward air, back air into down air, back air into up air, back air into side B, like it like opened up so many options that weren't possible in Melee. But the bad thing is the physics delay overall is kind of bad. But even if you got rid of that, he'd still have the both again interruptible as soon as difference and gravity quirk missing. Which the gravity quirk isn't a good bad thing. Either way, it's more talked about in the description that your opinion could change on as you learn more about the game. So now one thing I forgot to mention is when you look at Melee, and you kind of saw it, but even though I kind of like went fast with it, when you double jump in Melee, your character goes up that very first frame, like no delay. But with the physics delay, if I do a double jump, well, he's already moving upward, so let's move downward. So he's moving downward, okay. See where he is right now? Let's actually, okay, see the white part is like just above that block? If I do a double jump, you can see that it went farther down near that block, meaning his momentum hasn't changed yet. Even though it's the first frame of double jump, it's only on the second frame now because of the physics delay, which is the way that Brawl handled physics for some reason. Like it shows what actions to do first. Like it's choosing your momentum on most things to occur after it processed the animation or whatever for the first frame. So he moved down even though I did the double jump. Now he's going to move upward, and it goes above the block. Okay? So if I do a frame-perfect wave dash, like I showed you in Melee, if you do it frame-perfect, that very first frame of the air dodge instantly goes into the ground, and the next frame, it instantly, like as soon as you do the air dodge, next frame, it's already on the ground because it moved you there. But in PM, yeah. Okay, so I'll input an air dodge. Okay, and you can see he's in the air dodge animation because this isn't what he looks like when he's in the normal jump. Here, because I'll frame advance it. Okay, I'll show you again what it looks like when he's in normal jump. So that's the normal jump. He's got his head up like that. Now let me do a frame perfect air dodge. Oops. Okay, so he's totally different. You can see it. He's in the air dodge animation. But what's different is physics delay is making you see this frame, which you wouldn't even see if you did Melee, because you'd already be on the ground this frame. This physics delay had me raise up, which again, the physics delay doesn't even have me in the air, like, even, because like his collision data is still on the ground. But you're still in an aerial state, I believe. So like, if you did a frame perfect wave dash, which I'm doing now, this one frame is going to be kind of in the air. Even though your collision data is not in the air, you're considered airborne, I believe. I think. Especially since you can like do aerials and stuff. So it's only after the first frame, because of the physics delay, that it then has the physics move you downward. Now you're grounded, and you're doing the wave dash. But if you did a frame perfect wave dash in Melee, and then a frame perfect wave dash in PM, you're going to be airborne in PM, and say someone hit you in a frame perfect wave dash on that very frame that you're airborne, that could be a whole different situation considered you got hit when you're airborne than when you did it in Melee when you're grounded the whole time. So, like, that could change a lot of stuff, but there's like a ton of this stuff that this physics delay can change. Like, again, with the double jump, if you're trying to escape somebody, like a move or something, in Melee, it would move you a little bit or right away. In PM, nothing. You're still moving downward. So I'm moving downward. I want to evade something. Try to double jump. It's not going to do anything until the second frame. Then it starts moving me. Same with, again, with the air dodge. If I move air dodge left, it doesn't move me at all. You can totally notice the difference now when you paid attention to it in Melee that I didn't move at all. Now I start moving. Same way I'll air dodge towards the right. It's in the air dodge, the first frame of it, but I didn't move anywhere. Now it starts moving. So if I'm trying to wave land on a platform in PM, like if I air dodge downward and towards the left, of course, to wave land on this platform, that first frame of it is going to raise me up a little bit, and then he's going to do the air dodge. So I have to time my air dodges in PM 1 frame sooner than I have to in Melee. So like, and I think that the top, not the top, but like above the white one, that yellow thing is the actual landing one. I haven't done too much research. Okay, so now I'm in the first airborne frame of, the first frame of the wave air dodge, and then he moves. Okay, but if in Melee, I would already have to be above this platform. Like right now it's below it. You see that white thing? And if I do an air dodge, well, let's do a little bit higher. Okay, in Melee, if I did air dodge right now, it would probably miss the platform. Like, let's say that, even though it's a little bit above where it'd probably do it, it'd probably miss in Melee, okay? But if I did the air dodge in PM, which I'm going to do, since it raised up 1 more frame, that gives me the advantage where I get to do the air dodge. Well, not the advantage. It's just the difference in timing. I get to do the air dodge sooner, and then I got theoretically like 1 more frame to do an action because it's going to land and then get the 10 frames of landing animation or whatever from doing an air dodge, what you get. But yeah. What's other stuff it changes? It changes a bunch of stuff. But it doesn't apply to every single move. Like certain moves that change your momentum sometimes don't get affected by the physics delay, but it affects a lot of stuff. Basically, that's better off just talk about like on text form because I could go over a bunch of stuff that it could theoretically change like your gameplay and all that. But yeah. What's the other stuff? Oh, so I basically covered these 3 things change the crap out of your whole game. Because, again, the interruptible as soon as, like, say you're off stage and did a forward air, you can do that double jump. Say you didn't have your double jump in time, like you wasted your double jump, you can do the up B a lot sooner than you could with, like, say a lot of characters out of their interruptible as soon as. Like, with the interruptible as soon as, you can use it now to do the up B right away to, like, recover in time. Where, like, and like again, Jigglypuff's back air in a pound could be a lot sooner than it can be done in Melee. So the interruptible as soon as implication is huge, which nobody knows about or talks about, even though it changes a lot of stuff beyond the 2 other things that like totally make aerials a lot different. Now, sometimes PM does have different frame data than Melee. It doesn't match it exactly. Sometimes they like make auto cancel windows a little shorter than they are in Melee for like even the top tiers, like Fox's back airs like that. So like he can auto cancel his back air in Melee, in PM in a short hop when he can't in Melee. But again, the auto cancel window is different beyond all the other stuff I mentioned. So like even if the auto cancel was sooner, it's probably the other 3 things. The other 2 things, the physics slay and the first airborne thing, not existing in Melee, PM, that might allow it to be done. But anyways, that's another videos I have, the like early aerial compilations and stuff. That's where I have a whole bunch of like stuff that's not possible in Melee, and you wouldn't even know it's not possible in Melee unless you like knew if you did it frame perfect, it's never gonna work. But now that I cover all that, I want to cover some stuff in PM that are just other Melee than PM differences. One of the things I'm not going to talk about is custom controls. I could have that whole different video on all the stuff people have come up with for that. Even though I might go over, I probably won't try to touch on any of it regarding custom controls. But regardless of, without talking about custom controls, man, there's so much to talk about in Melee PM differences. Like, if you do, like, a jump, you can act a lot sooner out of it to waveland and all that. There's RAR, which in Melee, if you turn around, oops, and go into this animation, it doesn't actually allow you, if you jump, you're gonna mostly be facing still forward out of it, but in PM it actually changes your direction. So again, you can approach with back air and stuff more easily, or whatever, like anything. But beyond that, since you're running and then reverse aerial rush or whatever they call it, which is from Brawl, since you're facing the other way, when you jump, you can cancel that jump into things like up smash and do like a reverse up smash or up B and so on. Wait. So with someone like Diddy Kong, this is useful. And again, you can't do this in Melee. And then Dacus, which they've made into everybody's got like a 2-frame window for it. And again, I got videos on like all this stuff, so I'm not gonna go over how to do it. And then wait.
No. Captain Falcon.
There's a bunch of stuff with how the C-stick and Brawl works differently, where yeah, it probably works. The C-stick and Brawl works differently, where it moves you a little bit. It's considered A, like the A button, plus the forward movement for like 1 digit of like movement, or a frame or whatever. So it's moving you a little bit to enable you to like do auto cancels. Like if I do forward air and then press forward on the C-stick, it's like doing it for me. Or I could do like up air. Actually, it auto cancels already. There we go. So I press down on the C-stick, and then I press forward. This also enables, with the way the C-stick works, to use it to moonwalk, which I made a video on. In that, you can actually do that with like spacies, even though it's hard. Like I have a video where I do it with like Falco and stuff, and you can do it with like Fox and Wolf. So that's another video that, and then there's this guy Takun is like a big fan of where you dash and then use the C-stick. Man, I never even practiced it, so I forget how it went. You would dash, and then, no. There we go. Okay, you dash and then hit it upward. It'd be like a pivot, like Brawls, Smash 4s. So that can be useful for like doing that. But I think you can even do that good without the C-stick, but I'm not good at it, so that's like a own separate video someone else could make or something. But and then of course you could be dashing and then press down on it. It makes you crouch. It doesn't seem good for Captain Falcon. There we go. And you can do this without the C-stick. A lot of people already do this by just pressing crouch and then walk forward and then dash back. There we go. This is like really noticeable with Meta Knight. Again, I got a video on it. And again, other people might have come up with this first and everything. So everything would be in the description of where I've learned stuff. And then of course, this is another Brawl thing. Again, it's in videos. I need to go over things I said wrong about B reversing. Okay, so now that I got the debug menu, I can easily go over this. Whenever you B reverse something, again, this is another thing that doesn't exist in Melee. So whenever you B reverse something, I was wrong about how it works. Okay, so again, if I do neutral B, anywhere from now I can hold the other direction, but it's always gonna B reverse it on like the 5th frame. So this is the 2nd frame now, 3rd frame, 4th frame, 5th frame is when it B reverses it. Okay, it doesn't B reverse as soon as you press the other direction. I could be on, this is like the frame 3, and it's only on frame 5 when it's actually going to carry out the B reverse. So it's always going to be B reverse on that 5th frame. Any more, it's not going to happen. Any less, it's not going to happen any sooner. It's always going to be on the 5th frame. It just requires you hold it the other direction starting at the 1st frame. Again, if you held the other direction on the 1st frame, it's obviously going to do a side B. So beginning on the 2nd frame of the special to the very last before the 5th frame, the 4th frame or whatever, is when you can hold the other direction to get a B reverse. But yeah, so if I do that with side B, like, and then anywhere, say I'll hold it on the 3rd frame. On the 4th frame, that's going to happen. On the 5th frame, it's going to get B reversed. Okay, so that's something I got wrong in other videos. And then again, you can do this on the ground. That's something you couldn't do in Melee. So like, I can do side B, and then hold the other direction, and then it's going to get B reverse on that 5th frame. And this is from Brawl, obviously. This is like Brawl stuff that exists in PM still. Oh, and again, he's got a Dacus too. What the crap? Something's wrong. There we go. Whatever it was. And then he's also got a dash attack cancel pivot grab, which you can dash attack cancel grab in Melee, but with a lot of characters, it's not going to give you much distance. It's different though with pivot grabs. It can give you a lot more distance. So that was a pivot grab, dash attack cancel pivot grab. You can use C stick or A, and then just. And I made a video about this too, but Falco's is really long. Yeah, I'm not getting it good. I haven't practiced in forever. I think it used to be even longer. Whatever, I got it a couple times. Yeah, I'm not gonna waste your time. Oh, and the physics delay also affects like shines and stuff, since you don't move on that first airborne frame. But again, that's too much to talk about. Oh, neutral Bs I also got wrong. When you do a B reverse neutral B, you can have it held, like if you jump in the air, well, let's go up really high here. If I'm falling, and if I press the other direction for like say even 1 frame, okay, then like advance up to 20 or 19 frames or so, it's still going to carry out if I press B. It's going to reverse it. That's how it works in both Melee, PM, and Brawl, where neutral B has like a 20 frame window of how that thing works, where like if I jump, hold left for like 1 or 2 frames or whatever, then do nothing, and then like advance a bunch of frames later and then press B, it's going to reverse it still. It doesn't work that way for like side B or anything. For like everything else, it actually has to rely on that very frame that you do it to like be facing the direction that you do it. So like if you do a wave dash, oops, okay, and if the last direction you pressed was towards the left in a way, when you fall off, actually wait, no, sorry about that. Since I was facing towards the left, but I wave dashed towards the right, when I fall off, even though I'm facing towards the left, if I press B, oops, let's see here. Okay. And then press B. Oops, what the heck? Usually it reverses your direction. But I think that's because, like, people are holding that way during the wave dash. Huh. Yeah, I don't know anymore. Is that everything that I fixed? Okay, the next video is going to be on custom controls. I think I covered everything. That's going to be long as heck.
No con
Thanks for watching.